Hello, beautiful people. It's happened too often where a game has just not received the love it deserves. So I consider it my job to take the game out of hiding and show it to the world for the wonderful piece of entertainment it is. So please, grab a drink and let's get started. Insomniac is a household name at this point, with Spider-Man games being huge hits in the line of Sony-backed games. Not that it being a very popular IP did not help at all, but before that, Insomniac led development on a little game called Sunset Overdrive. It was to be one of the big IPs to help show off the new Microsoft console. And coming from such a veteran studio, it was sure to be a hit. Unfortunately, the only sure thing in life is taxes, and that Warner Brothers will ruin a franchise. It was surprising given advertising for this was everywhere. I remember seeing standees in stores on my side, but it somehow failed to get an audience. I actually do know why, but that's for later. Now, let's go into an hour-long backstory about the creation of the game, the company's entire history, and add in some quotes on screen on how they designed the hair physics. Or
that was amazing. Are you like a superhero or something? It's just the way you move, the things you do.
Sunset Overdrive is a game of two parts, combat and traversal. And one here is a bit stronger than the other, but together they deliver a delicious new flavor. I really can't think of another game like this, and that's a shame. Nothing reaches this level of speed, intensity, and grit, except trying to shop for savings at month's end. Out of the way, Grandma, I need those beans. Before explaining why I love all this, let's talk about what it is. Sunset Overdrive is an open-world first-person shooter that heavily emphasizes on you staying off the streets, like an 80s anti-drug VHS. Yo, you jump, bounce, grind, and even glide later on, around rooftops and telephone poles, heading towards your objectives, only to do more of that once you get there. And it feels amazing. The snapping on of grinding and the pressing of a button again to either change your altitude or direction is smooth. And gaining height from jumping on bouncy objects can be increased by pressing space again, and also feels incredibly satisfying. By the way, can you tell I played this on PC? The main glue holding all this together is not just the snappy controls, but something a lot of games just don't think about enough. Airtime. Your character floats a little in the air, just enough to change momentum or increase speed if needed in order to correct a jump. Mixed with the game not being too finicky over how you snap onto objects, makes it very easy to get used to. They really did something unique here, and I can see how this led to them making the Spider-Man games. But, and this might be controversial, I like this more. It feels less like holding a button to move along and more like every jump you take is important, and made me kind of forget what I was doing as I went from point A to B, overshooting my mark and instead reaching point H. Now that's just a whole paragraph about jumping. I believe it's time we roll along. Combat is the second half of the game, and the thing that I mentioned earlier that stopped me from trying it, at a glance it looks odd to say the least, jumping constantly, grinding, gliding, or trying to shoot zombies. It looks too messy. I like my shooters planted firmly on the ground, but it's so much fun. You don't want to stand still while shooting, that's the simple explanation. You need to move around not just because the monsters are coming for you, and even if you think you're safe, don't worry, they have ways of knocking you around. But you need to raise your style ranking in order to better deal with everything. The way the game encourages movement is kind of brilliant. Every jump, grind, and shot taken raises your rank, and every rank unlocks a skill or bonus to abilities. Guns do more damage, you explode every time you bounce, where your melee attacks do extra elemental damage. Now multitasking this is hard at first, but even just bouncing in one spot can give points, so don't push yourself, but once you're competent at the combat, come here, let me just show you. Hey, I know it's not part of the montage, but how about supporting me by subscribing or sharing the links? Well, wait, the montage is coming back. I haven't played a game this fast-paced and frantic since Doom Eternal, and I think the world wasn't ready for it. This was still 2014. Third-person shooters were very much stuck on the ground, and cover-based shooters like Gears of War was the benchmark. But this shares more DNA with Vanquish, another game that never got its proper audience on release. I really do love the combat here, and it's something that never became repetitive as games like these tend to. I would just enter a zen mode where my mind isn't even thinking, it's just reacting. And it's so nice. Luckily, I have my trusty guns to help out. So the weapons are a mixed bag, which I know is a strange sentence to say about an Insomniac game, but I think there's a reason for that. With all the chaos, it's hard for the weapons to stand out as much as with their other games. The first gun you get is a flaming compensator. Yeah, we all know what it looks like. An upside down nose with eyes. Very funny. I ended up using this gun the entire game. It's just so effective, great damage, decent range, and a very useful spread. It doesn't help that weapons are so expensive, so I didn't bother to buy that many, instead buying the locations of the collectibles, because I had a need to collect toilet paper. The weapons felt good, and you will definitely find a favorite among the many, except the acid sprinkler. It's not great. When it comes to negatives, I don't have a lot to say, minus the obvious glitches that ran throughout. Most notably, a subtitle got stuck in place, and some audio kept repeating in places it shouldn't, like Floyd congratulating me on completing his missions when in fact...
Nice! That's the first flag! 2 more to go!
I was finishing other people's. I hate you so much, Floyd.
Don't worry, man. He's been pissed at me plenty of times.
This leads into talking about how the story is not that great. The humor and meta elements fall kind of flat, especially today when all those are so played out.
Okay, then. I'm gonna go back to the base and be magically gone by the time you have control.
Fine by me. That's not weird at all.
But even then, it wasn't that funny. I do think the voice acting is good and Yuri Lowenthal gives a great performance as the lead. Helps sell some of the jokes, very few though.
Oh god! Oh, this is crazy! This is crazy! This is crazy!
There is a variety of characters and factions here for you to get to know, but none really stuck out to me except Wendy, voiced by Laura Bailey, who gave a great pirate impression.
You shall be safe with me, matey.
Wendy?
Trying out a new role. Bard didn't work out so well.
I do feel the biggest negative here is just the overall design of the game as an open world, and the missions. You've seen everything here before, and rarely do they stand out on their own. There are some missions like harvesting tree bark, frying pigeons for food, protecting the boat while feeding it garbage for fuel. Those work really well with the movement, and are a lot of fun. Trust me, once you get the mission where you have to siege a theme park, it's kind of peak gameplay. But it's not perfect. The real problem is the defense missions, when you need to defend those barrels of overcharge. No one likes defending things, unless it's an opinion, and no one likes having to repeat them even less. I did the story requisite ones, but never the side stuff. Sure, you get to play around with traps to put down, but even then, it didn't do anything for me. The collectibles are nothing special either. Toilet paper, shoes on phone lines, and these balloons. They're just scattered around haphazardly, but do require some effort to get and serve as sort of tutorial for how to use jump pads, wall running, and grinding. You could just find most by not fast traveling. Like I said, not a lot of negatives here. It's a fun game, just with a few flaws, but ones that could be easily overlooked. Sunset Overdrive never got its time in the sun, instead being looked over for years. Till this day even. And that's a shame. For all the love the Spider-Man games get, they would be nowhere without Sunset Overdrive. It's such an experience where I feel even this video doesn't do it justice. So here I am, asking you to give it a look, just see how great it feels, and then go talk to your friends and get them a copy. I know they'll like it. But this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying, I hope. And remember, I'll see you next time.
Now that is how you end a game.